Hey guys, welcome to today's video and welcome on into my beauty stash. Spring is right around the corner. Are you ready? I'm about to share with you my top 10 palettes must-haves for spring 2023. If you guys want to see what made the list, keep on watching. Okay. Next week is gonna be March. Where is 2023 going? It seems like it's going by so fast. I put together a list of 10 I think must-have palettes for spring 2023. These palettes are just giving me spring vibes all together. And if you're wondering about this makeup look, I did use one of the palettes that I'm going to be sharing with you all today. I am so sorry though, I was not able to film this look. I've had this makeup on all day. I'm just getting home from work, minus the lipstick, which is the Fenty liquid lipstick in the shade Riri. That's the only thing I just applied before coming on camera, but I'll have everything that I'm wearing, everything that I'm talking about. It will be linked and listed in the description box. If I have any codes for any of these eyeshadow palettes, I'll have the codes listed in there as well. Some of those things might be affiliate links, so if you do end up shopping, thank you so much for supporting my channel. And if it is your first time here, I want to welcome all of you and invite you to come be part of our makeup family. Click on that subscribe button and hit the bell next to it. That way you can be notified every time I drop a new video. And if you like this style of video, makeup ranking videos, eyeshadow palettes, give this video a thumbs up before you go. Let's start with our first affordable option, and that comes to us from none other than Target. I don't think I could make a top 10 eyeshadow palette list without including ColourPop somewhere in the mix. These 9-pan palettes available exclusively at Target are pretty awesome. This is the Muse Moment palette. I think you can see why I'm choosing this for spring. The mint green with the neutral brown and peach in here. These are amazing springtime colors. These 9-pan palettes though are pretty awesome as well. I don't think you can get through any season though without a nice neutral, a staple neutral palette. This one is called Send Nudes, and I love this one. The performance of all of these palettes, and don't worry, I have a cool tone option in case warm tone nudes are not your thing. All of these palettes perform so well. This one is called Truly Iconic. These palettes retail for, I think they're $14, but you guys know you can earn points at Target, so where you can get some money off. I love them. I think ColourPop did a great job with them. All of the options. They added more 9-pan palettes recently for the ColourPop for Target collection. So head on over to the Target website or just browse the next time you're in Target. Go to the makeup aisle. Check out these 9-pan palettes from ColourPop, because these three right here I think are definitely must-haves, not just for year-round, but especially for spring. Next is a palette. I think I reviewed this a little over a year ago, or maybe a year to be exact. Another affordable option. This one comes to us from LA Girl, and this is their Festie Bestie palette. In my opinion, and I recently did a full face of like trying new LA Girl makeup, these palettes that are in this particular packaging are pretty awesome. The matte shades are really pigmented. They're very blendable. The shimmers definitely pack a punch. These 16-pan palettes are no joke. I want to say you can get these for about 15 bucks maybe. I got this online at Ulta. They do have LA Girl in store at Ulta, so maybe you can find one of these floating around at your local Ulta. These are definitely worth checking out. I like the tones in this palette. Again, the peach with the green, but we're also getting some blues, and I love this dark brown in here just for deepening up the looks. I like that it's a brown and not a black. I feel like we tend to get more matte black shadows. It's nice to get a good dark matte brown once in a while in these palettes, and I'm just loving the color story of this one. You do get a full-size mirror. I have 3 of these LA Girl palettes that are in this packaging. They're all really awesome. Definitely check out Ulta online for this one, or the LA Girl website. The next palette I have to share with you guys comes from a brand that has been so low-key the last few years. I feel like this has become more of like a BoxyCharm brand rather than just a standalone brand. You can find this brand at Sephora. And I'm talking about Violet Voss, and this is their Take Flight palette, the Butterfly palette. I reviewed this palette almost a year ago. It was last summer when I reviewed this palette. Hardly anybody talked about this one. and I don't know why. This is a pretty awesome palette. I like that, as in some of the recent palettes we've been seeing come out, you have a warm tone side, you have a cool tone side, you do get a matte black, and you get a really pretty white shimmer shadow in the center. These shades are pretty solid. Like, this is really good pigmentation, a really good shimmer formula. Nobody really talked about this one. I think I have a video where I created 4 looks using this palette. I've loved it. I think this is just a nice palette. Again, you're getting those peach orangey shades, you're getting some of the greens, the blues. These are just all colors that I gravitate towards, not just year round, but especially for spring. And if you're looking for something that's not a pastel palette, because let's face it, we get a lot of pastels for spring, this is definitely a nice option. I don't know if it's already on sale at Sephora. It may be, but I'm pretty sure that I saw this in stock the other day when I was browsing the Sephora app. If you come across it in store, swatch it out, see what you think. I don't think you're going to be disappointed, but this Take Flight from Voss is a really nice color story for spring. I also want to just give a shout out to this one from Essence. I brought out this one because, as you can see, they're really similar color stories, but this one I talked about and I used recently in a full face of trying new Essence makeup video. This is the Blooming Wings palette. While I don't think the quality of this one is where the Violet Voss is, I think it's a nice option because this palette was like 10 bucks or 12 bucks at Ulta, less, you know, the discounts that you can get at Ulta. This is a really cute color story. Again, orange. This one is more purple leaning than blue, but this actually performed pretty decent. I mean, for the price tag, it's really a nice option to consider. And this, I think, has got to be the best performing Essence eyeshadow palette that I think I've ever tried. And again, you have that two-sidedness to the palette. You have the warm and the cool, the orange with like the berry, the purple leaning side. I think it's a cute little option from Essence. The other 2 colors they came out with, I think one was more pink purple leaning and the other one could have been more neutral leaning. This is the one I found to be the most colorful, and I thought it would be, you know, a nice alternative in case this one was out of your budget. You could kind of just go with the Essence option. Just something to think about from Violet Voss and from Essence. The next palette I have to share with you guys, it's not necessarily a palette per se, it's more of an eyeshadow bundle, and that comes to us from Sydney Grace and the late Mel Thompson. This is their In Mel's Memory bundle. This is not the palette it comes in. It doesn't come with a palette. You do have to buy a palette separately because what you're getting is a bundle of single shadows. I'm missing 2 in here. They're in this other palette, but this is what I have on my eyes right now. If you're curious about the shades that I used this green one right here, I used this peach one, I used these 2 right here. This is the shimmer I have on the lid. I think that's about it. The lower lash line is just an eyeliner smudged out. So again, I'll have the makeup that I'm wearing linked in the description box in case you're curious, but I did use the In Mel's Memory bundle to create this look. I think this is the quintessential spring color story. But if you've never tried Sydney Grace shadows before, you're missing out. They have an amazing eyeshadow palette formula. In particular, their matte shadows. They're very user-friendly. They're pigmented, but they're very easy to work with. Their shimmer shadows are no slouch either. The shimmer shadows definitely pack a punch. I love this. To me, this is just what I think of when I think of spring, the green with the light peach and pink, and I love this like pop of red down here. This is just, it's so good. I remember when Mel put this color story together on her channel, I don't think she was intending for it to be an actual palette available one day, but she wanted to do her take on a retro palette, aka the, at that time, Natasha Denona mini retro palette. As we know, Natasha Denona has released the full or the midi size retro palette, which is very similar to this one, but if you want my opinion, definitely go this route over the Natasha Denona. I think the variance in tones that you get in this one is a little bit better, especially if you're not wanting something on such the pastel side. If you want to be able to deepen up your looks a little bit, again, you do have like a darker brown shade to where you can easily deepen up. And you know what? I did use this shade. I did use this shade right here on the outer corner. I've just had an amazing experience with this one. Again, if you've never tried Sydney Grace, this in Mel's Memory Bundle would be a fantastic place to start. You can buy the empty palettes at Sydney Grace, or you can do what I do and just get one on Amazon. Get one though that's gonna hold all of the shadows. I have another palette over here that just has a couple odds and ends. It has the last two shadows in that collection. It has a couple of my Lethal Cosmetics highlighters. But Sydney Grace did a fantastic job honoring Mel Thompson's memory. And if you haven't picked up this bundle, highly recommend that you check it out. Next is a palette I feel like is going to be on everybody's list. If it wasn't on their list last year, it's definitely going to be on their list this year for must-have spring eyeshadow palettes. And I'm talking about this one from Dollhouse. I feel like this palette came out almost a year ago or so. Was it? Or was it in the summer? This is a great take on maybe a pastel palette, kind of like a pastel palette. As with all Blend Bunny palettes, you get a row of shimmers. In this particular palette, you get 2 different rows of shimmers, but you also get the varying tones, the intensities. Their palettes always take you from light to medium to deep. That's what I love about the brand. They make it very easy to create eyeshadow looks with their palettes. They take the guesswork out of creating eyeshadow looks. And if you're new to working with, you know, colorful eyeshadow, maybe you don't create colorful eyeshadow looks very often, Blend Bunny is a great place to start. They have an amazing formula and they just make it so user-friendly. You can't mess up. This is pretty much goof-proof. You can create a look just by going down per column, or you can mix around the palette the way I like to do, but at least you have your varying tones, the light, medium, deep. Everybody says the Blend Bunny matte formula is the best they've ever worked with. More people, I think, rave about their matte formula than they do their shimmer formula, but I am here to tell you their shimmer formula is one of my favorites, and I feel like their shimmer formula outstands their matte formula. I'll let you guys sound off on that in the comments, but this Dollhouse palette is definitely worth owning and definitely worth having in your stash for spring 2023. All right, so let's brighten things up a little bit. I had to include the new one from Juvia's Place. This is their latest eyeshadow palette, and this is the Candy Shop palette. You can shop this at Ulta or on the Juvia's Place website. I think you can find it on sale more often on the Juvia's Place website because they're always having sales at Juvia's Place. I think I just got an email for like 30% off site-wide, so definitely sign up for their emails. That way you'll be notified every time they have a sale because they have sales pretty often. But this is a nice take on a bright pastel palette, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like you can definitely create some lighter looks with it, but then you can also kind of deepen things up a little bit with the blue and the brown in here. But I love the pop of pink. I love the pop of blue. The shimmers in this one are so good, like so good. We know that Juvia's Place, they always do a good job with their eyeshadow palettes, and they do a fantastic job at a fantastic price. That's what I love about the brand. They've managed to stay relevant, competitive, and bring us amazing makeup while still keeping the prices down and giving us sales pretty often. This Candy Shop palette, I love it. I love it. I love it for spring. I love it for summer too. This actually came out in the winter. This came out December, I think, of last year. So it was ahead. It was a bit ahead of its time, but pull this out now for spring, and I think you're going to be able to create some amazing springtime looks. So this next palette I know is not currently in stock, but it is planning a comeback. And when it does make its comeback, it's going to come back in a mini size, which I think a lot of you are going to be very happy to see. I'm talking about Klarity Kosmetics Croc Palette. This is a beautiful green neutral color story. Guys, the duochromes in this one are A+. I definitely recommend using a glitter glue, glitter primer with this one. let me swatch out some of these because these are just too good not to swatch out. I think that their matte formula is fantastic, but they have such a beautiful duo multi-chrome formula. You're gonna find that some of them are smooth and some of them have a bit more texture to them. I love them. I think Klarity does an amazing job with their color stories in particular. If you all picked up the Apocalypse palette, I'm going to put a picture of it right here. That was such a unique take on a Halloween inspired eyeshadow palette. I love that palette. I thought it was just so unique. It was so much fun to work with that palette. And then this palette right here, this, I almost didn't pick it up. I was like, I don't know, it looks a little too neutral, but I thought, no, you know what? I've been reviewing pretty much all of the new Klarity Cosmetics releases, and I said, let me pick this up. I'm glad I did because a lot of you enjoyed watching me, you know, swatch out and do some looks with this palette. If you picked this one up, let me know in the comments what your experience has been. I know a lot of you are really bummed that this one sold out really quick, but the owner listened to you guys and she's bringing it back in a mini size form. I can't wait. I can't wait to see that because I do know a lot of you have commented that you just wish their palettes were a little bit smaller, like pan size and just overall lengthwise. They listened. They're going to bring it back and it's going to be a mini form and you do get a mirror with it. I think they have an outstanding formula and I think the Croc palette is a beautiful color story for spring. All right, so like the Croc palette, this next palette was just back in stock. I don't know if it has since sold out for like the 10th time already or if it's still available. I'm talking about MILF. Man, I Love Frogs from Sugar Drizzle. How could I not include this duo multi-chrome palette in my best of spring 2023. I mean, if you're looking for an all duo multi-chrome palette, maybe you've never tried duo and multi-chromes before. Oh my goodness, where have you been? This is a fantastic place to start. Sugar Drizzle has a really good duo multi-chrome formula and they do it at a very fair price point. I do have a code with Sugar Drizzle. It is Steff10 and that will give you 10% off of your order. By the way, Sugar Drizzle is coming out with some new setting powders and Nikki, the owner, just told me that she's gonna send them to me. There's 2 different shades, so I'll definitely be trying those out for you all really soon. This MILF palette is where it's at. Let's swatch some of these shades because Sugar Drizzle does a really nice formula and I don't know how they managed to do it at such a fair price point, but they do. Nikki, she's so cool. I love chatting with her over on Instagram. She is the owner of Sugar Drizzle and she's just been killing it with all the releases. My very first palette from Sugar Drizzle was their Pizza Kitty palette. I remember I bought that palette and I bought several of their other palettes after that before Nikki started sending me them in PR. I did receive this one in PR and I've just loved the brand. Their artwork is what made me buy the palette and I posted a reel over on my Instagram, I think it was a few days ago, talking about or just showing eyeshadow palettes that I bought merely because of the packaging, and that Sugar Drizzle Pizza Kitty palette was one of them. And I know this MILF palette has been like that for some of you. Some of you just love the design, love the cute little frog on it, and you just had to have it in your collection. Maybe you collect things with frogs, but when you open this palette up, what's inside doesn't disappoint and you get a nice mixture of greens and purples and blues. Perfect for year round, but to me this definitely screams springtime into summertime. I just love it. I think Nikki and her team did a great job with MILF. Hope you guys have been loving it as much as I have. So I have 2 palettes left. This next palette I think is the perfect transitional palette, the perfect transition from winter into spring. You're gonna get a little bit of cool and warm, and I'm talking about Berry Icy from Simply Posh Cosmetics. I was generously gifted this palette. Thank you, Kayla, the owner of Simply Posh, for sending this my way. I have to give a shout out to the brand because they are from right here in the Rio Grande Valley, South Texas, where I'm located. I say that, and I always say that every time I talk about this brand, because it's rare that I meet, you know, fellow content creators or anybody in the beauty space, like here on YouTube, or beauty brand owners from my area. Simply Posh is literally like in my backyard. So anytime I can support a local small business in my area, you know, sign me up. And I hope all of you are able to do that in the areas where you live. Shop local as often as you can, because, you know, those local businesses, those are the ones that are really driving our economy right now, and they need all the love and support that we can give them. Simply Posh Cosmetics did a beautiful job, as they usually do, with their eyeshadow palettes. This is a beautiful 18-pan palette that is going to give you a little bit of cool, a little bit of warm. You got your blues in here, you got your berry tones over here. I think it is just the perfect mixture, and what I like about this palette is you can mix the tones together. Don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to mix your cool and warm tones together. This palette, you're able to do it seamlessly. They have a really nice, and these are duochromes in here, they have a really nice, easy to work with duochrome formula. I would recommend using a glitter primer, some glitter glue, just to maximize, you know, the effect, the payoff that you get. But this one just swatches so well. I remember when I did like my pictures of this and swatches, I went outdoors, it was a beautiful sunny day, and it just swatched so well. I've been really pleased with Simply Posh Cosmetics, their Genuine Gems palette. I think that was the palette released right before this one. Amazing palette, deeper tones, gemstone tones in that particular palette. This one is going to give you a little bit of the lighter into medium tones, and I think all of the shades that they included are perfect. To me, this is just that perfect transitional palette from winter into spring. All right, last but certainly not least is a palette that this color story is what I crave in springtime. And the cover art and the overall theme of this palette and the collection is one I feel many of you bought for nostalgic reasons. I'm talking about Glamlite and Strawberry Shortcake. This is their Berry-licious palette. I mean, how do you not love Strawberry Shortcake there? What's inside? Pink and green. This is my color story for spring. My birthday is in March. It's on March 6th. And I'm going to be 41 this year. We're almost there, almost there. But every time I get a birthday cake, or somebody says, you know, what do you want on your birthday cake? What colors do you like? Whatever, right? I always gravitate towards pink and green. Hence the reason why I'm putting this palette in my top 10 must-haves for spring 2023. This is just my color story. You know, I think of cake when I think about this palette. I think of my birthday cake. And I just love the combination of pink and green. You're also getting red in here, obviously, with this one. Glamlite, you all know, has a beautiful formula. And I just got their Chucky and Tiff collection that is like waiting for me over here in the corner. I hope to be filming with that as soon as I wrap up this video, but I love the depth in this one. We get these darker tones over here, but we also get the lighter tones, the mid tones. This Kelly green right here is beautiful. I love a green like this berry toned red shade over here, and these beautiful shifty shimmer shadows. If you have never tried Glamlite, for one, where have you been? But two, let this be the year that you put Glamlite on your list, because Glamlite is not slowing down. They are giving us so many amazing collections, and the detail that they put into their collections is just out of this world. They think of everything, and that's what I love. You know, I don't just want what's inside to be a beautiful color story the way this is. I want what's on the outside to be equally as great. And with Glamlite, packaging is always a plus, and they always have amazing color stories. Pink and green are definitely, I think, must-haves for springtime, any year, any decade. pink and green are always going to be staples for spring in my stash. Okay guys, so that wraps up today's 10 must-have palettes for spring 2023. Which palettes are on your list for this season? Did any of your faves make my list? Sound off in the comments down below. Let me know what we need to check out this season. I want to thank you guys so much for watching another one of my videos. You all have a great day or night, wherever it is y'all are at. Stay hydrated, guys. Drink your water. Cheers. I'll see y'all very soon. Bye.